Hi guys, it's Jenny, and I'm going to teach you how to kick up to a handstand on the wall if you're a complete beginner. Now, the first thing to check is, can you actually hold yourself when you're upside down? Basic requirement for doing a handstand, obviously, and unless you can do this, don't even try kicking up against the wall. So, first thing to test, put your hands down, walk your feet up. Can you comfortably hold yourself like this? Maybe straighten the legs so that your torso is completely vertical, and you can try walking your feet up the wall, walking your hands nice and close, like this. So that's your first prerequisite to being able to kick up. Can you actually hold yourself? If you can't do that, keep working on it, build up the strength, and then you can return to this video. Next thing we're going to cover is, where do you stand, where do you put your hands? It is going to depend a little bit on the length of you, the length of your arms, the length of your legs, but these are general rules of thumb. You want to have your hands far enough away that you don't hit your head on the wall, but not so far away that you have to really arch and that you end up bananaing and scaring yourself trying to find the wall. I would use kind of your hand length, so you have a hand length away from the wall-ish will be your starting point, and then you can adjust from there. You'll find your best position for yourself. Other than that, hands should be shoulder width apart. If you have a few mobility issues, they might be a little bit wider, but we're going to aim for shoulder width apart. And then, in terms of how far back you stand, generally most people say about a leg's length. So if you sit down on the floor, wherever your hips are, that would be where you start off. So take one step back, this is your kicking leg. That's basically how we set up. I would recommend as well, if you're new, to grab some cushions, some pillows, something soft, and just put it there. As a confidence thing more than anything, hopefully you won't need it, but it's just to reassure you that you're not going to smack your head off the ground. On that note, if you're kicking up on a hard floor like I am, make sure you've got shoes on or bare feet. Don't use socks, because you could find that you slip as you kick, which you don't want that to happen either. So that is basically all we need to set up, something comfortable, the distance from the wall. You can measure that, you can mark it down with a little bit of tape if you like, or if you can draw on the floor. If not, just sort of visualize it, practice it a little bit without kicking up, and just try and remember that for when we are. When you're kicking up into a handstand, the most important thing to remember is to keep your arms straight. If you keep your arms straight, the worst thing that's going to happen is you just come back the way you came. However, if you kick up and bend your arms, you're going to fall on your head. And there's not much you can do about it because your whole body weight coming down. So this is why it's so important to be able to hold yourself up first, because you want to be able to lock your elbows and keep them locked as you do the kick. You can practice holding yourself to build up that strength, but we're going to build up gradually anyway, so you'll be able to test if you can do that first of all. So we're going to take our stance about my leg length away from the wall. This is my kicking leg. Might not be your kicking leg, so try both legs and see. Everybody has a side that they prefer. And personally, I like to start with my hands about here. Some people start with their hands here. Some people start with their hands on the floor, which is great if you've got the mobility, but just putting them out in front of you is a good starting point. This way our arms are already straight and we're ready to keep them this way, keep them locked as we push. As you lunge forwards, this is the leg that all the power is going to come from, the front leg. The back leg gives us a little bit of momentum, but most of the power is coming off the standing leg. You're going to start to lower yourself down, and this is where a lot of people kind of freak out because their head is going towards the ground, and this is where the arms are going to bend to try and protect themselves. So you want to lunge down and keep the arms straight and place them on the floor, and at the same time give yourself a little pop off this bottom leg. Down, pop, come back up. Okay, So that was easy. So that's our first test to see, can we keep our arms straight? Do we freak out? Were we okay? We're not even worried about getting up to the wall. Just lunge down, up, and back. Cool, first step. So the next thing I want to cover is that not just are your arms staying straight, but your arms are playing an active role in lifting you up. So as your hands touch the floor, you want to think about pushing. So you're lifting yourself up using your traps. That's not the same as a push-up where we're going horizontal. Obviously we're moving towards vertical. So the push goes in a whoop, as if you're trying to bring your shoulders to your ears kind of way. So as I put my hands down, you'll see I'll push a little bit just to help my body lift. Hands down, push. Oh my God. Got a lot more lift that time because I was pushing with my shoulders. One thing you want to avoid here is planching. So whenever I say push, your body might naturally go towards that push-up position. So you put your hands down and you go forwards like this. You're not really going to get very far. You're going to, well, if you do get up, you'll have to be like in a very arched position. And it's not really going to help, handstand push-ups or anything like that. You're not going to be able to do much from that position. So you want to think about pushing up as your hands go down. Hands go down, push up. Cool. So have a few goes at that. And then the next thing is to try and get the feet to the wall. Now, we want to get the feet to the wall, but we're not focusing on the feet because the feet, they're kind of dangly. There's not much weight in your feet, unless you got, massive calves, which I do not. All the weight is going to be in your hips. So the focus point, instead of thinking about, I need to get my feet up to the wall, is trying to get your hips over your shoulders. You literally want to think about going upside down. You're going to want to, if you've never done this before, you're going to want to protect yourself. You're going to want to go back to patterns that you're used to, which is a push-up, being horizontal, maybe being a bit diagonal. You're not used to being upside down. So you need to, keep that in your mind that you are literally flipping yourself upside down. And that's the motion you want to go for. So my hips are going over my shoulders. My feet can almost do whatever they want. So as I go down, pop off this leg, push off my shoulders, hips over my shoulders. Notice how my back leg is actually staying low. My top leg is going up, my back leg is staying down, mostly because you don't want to panic yourself, you don't want to rush and be, start arching your back. You might even bounce yourself off the wall. We keep our feet out of the equation and we just think about lifting the hips. Hands down, pop off the leg, hips lift. Maybe you find the wall. If you do, that's when your other leg comes up and back down. If you do struggle for momentum, so say you're doing it all correctly, but you're just getting to here and then coming back down again, you could try taking a little step back and doing a big lunge into it. So step, lunge, and see how you get a lot more momentum that way. But if you can, the more control the better. At first you might need the momentum, and then eventually you get slower and slower. So once your hips are over your shoulders, you can see it is quite easy then to just bring that second leg up, hips over, whoop, hips over my shoulders, second leg comes up, and then you do it. You might not get there immediately. It might take a few days, it might take a few weeks, but I don't want you to get frustrated if you can't kick up straight away. Like, if you do a bad one, come away from the wall, stop, breathe, don't get stuck doing this. Oh no, almost there, no. And then you just start flinging your feet up. It's just not helpful. It's not helpful for you, and it's kind of annoying for everyone else. Just be calm about it. You do a bad one, step away, think about what you did, and then go again, you know, maybe use that extra bit of momentum, big step, pop, up. Yeah, so it could take a while. You're trying to override, you know, if you have the strength to hold yourself up, all you're doing is overriding that fear in your brain that, wait a minute, I'm throwing myself at a wall. So it could just take a little bit of practice. And if you're just at this stage where you know you're popping up, coming down, popping up, coming down, that's okay, stay there for a while. You will build control just by doing that, and shoulder stability and shoulder strength. So I'm just going to give you a few tips of things to look out for before we move on to some handstand push-ups. So 4 things to look out for when you're doing your kick-up, some of them we already discussed. Number 1, elbows straight. We've already talked about this, can't say it enough, keep your elbows straight. Even if you feel like you've done a dodgy one, and you kick up and it all goes wrong, keep your elbows straight. So if you need to, you can sort of like shuffle, but as soon as you bend your arms, you're gonna fall on your head. It's kind of what happens, unless you're super strong. If you don't kick up enough, and you just keep your arms straight, that's the worst that can happen. If I bend my arms, you know, that gets a little bit painful if we didn't have the cushions there. So keep the arms straight, even if you feel like it's going wrong, you'll just come back down, okay? Can't say that one enough. Second one we didn't actually discuss yet, and that's where you look when you kick up. A lot of people, their instinct is to keep their head neutral, which means they end up looking that way. You can't see what's going on, you know, it's a lot more scary for your brain because you can't see the floor, you can't see your hands, but also it encourages rounding of the neck, rounding of the back, gets you into almost a forward roll motion instead of a straight flippy up motion. So look between your hands, you know, pick a spot on the floor if you need to, just keep looking down as you do the kick, and then if you're doing something after that, then you can tuck your chin, you know, do your handstand push-ups if you need to, but as you kick up, look down at the floor. Third one, don't planche. We talked about this. So planching is when, instead of your arms being overhead, your arms are slightly in front, which can be a mobility issue. Sometimes it's just an awareness issue. So when you're upside down, it looks like this. My arms are straight. This is a planche. So my head's actually touching the wall. And in order to balance this, I would need to really arch my back, which, you know, it's not useful for handstand push-ups or any handstand building strength, freestanding handstands. You don't really want to be planching unless you're doing something cool. So, arms up, think about elevating the shoulders, shoulders to ears, and that will get you a lot more strength in the right places. You might find if you literally cannot do that position, you just need to work on your overhead mobility. So, in your warm-ups, you know, zenith rotations, just do the Simplistic Mobility Method, anything that will keep your upper back open and allow your shoulders to sit straight up. So that's going to come with time, or just a little bit of awareness. Film yourself and have a little look at what your shoulders are doing. The final one, which kind of touched on again, is don't focus on your feet. Don't let your foot be the thing that flies up. We want the hips to do the moving and the feet just come along for the ride. If I just try and get my back foot up as quickly as possible, I'm just going to bounce off the wall. Got too much power, I bent my leg, tried to get my foot up, I just came back down. The wall is a little bit tougher than me, I'm just going to bounce back, it's going to be fine. So this leg is passive, my hips go up, but at the same time I push with my shoulders, pop with this leg, hips go up, and then my legs come up nice and gently. My feet, it almost doesn't matter, you know, where my feet are. It just matters where my hips are, okay? Because they're the heavy thing, that's your center of gravity. So don't focus on your feet, focus on your hips. Even if you lack that momentum at first, you'll build up awareness over time. So that's 4 things to look out for. But I do have one final progression for you. If you're finding all of this still too hard, I've got an even easier version that will help you get upside down and help build your pushing strength. So if you can't kick up at all, but you do have the strength to hold yourself up, but you just can't get that motion, we're going to try kicking up into a headstand. It's much lower, your arms are bent, so there's much less distance to kick up. And you can see that I've now got some books, a book and some blocks underneath my cushion. So find anything that will be sturdy, don't go for like little paperback novels, I've got a thick book, yoga blocks, if you've got bumper plates at home or in the gym, steps, anything that would just raise you up a little bit, then a little bit of padding on top, just so you can put your head on, and this is going to take the weight of your head. If you've ever done a headstand before, you'll know the deal. So we put our hands on the floor as if we're going to do a handstand, but our head goes on our support. The top of the head, so it's kind of what I said don't do, we're going to look that way and have the top of the head on support, arms down, bum up, and you're going to use the same leg as you kick with the handstand, just pop yourself up into a headstand. Now then, obviously, it's not 100% the same as kicking up to a handstand, but it gives you that confidence to kick up against the wall, but a lot of our weight is in our head. We don't have to use the stability of our shoulders. Over time, you can then increase the height of this so that it gets more towards your straight arm height, but be very sensible, that you're going to put your weight on this, so don't start making a wobbly stack. Make sure it's sturdy. If you run out of big books, then wait till you get to the gym and you can use some weight plates or something. Don't be going silly. You don't want to hurt your neck or your shoulders here. But if you have lots of big books and a cushion, same thing again, hands either side, top of the head on the cushion, and just kick up. And you can see now that my arms are almost straight. I almost did a handstand. So I can just, if I have the strength, push up, straighten my arms, and now I'm fully in that handstand position, and I didn't even need to do a kick up. So really great way. You can progressively increase that until there's not much difference now between doing this and actually kicking up, except some of my body weight is still in that support. So what you can do to then build yourself down is start taking your books away. So now the stack is lower again, and this time your aim is to not put your head on the floor. You've kind of got the confidence that you can get up there. You've been practicing your kick with your head on the books or the weights, whatever. So this time you do the same thing, but try and not have your head on the stack. And even if you start to kick up, you don't quite get it, all that happens is that you'll land here, and then you can push yourself up anyway. So that's a little bit of a way you can progress even if the whole kick isn't working right now. Just as a side note, this is a really nice tool to learn handstand push-ups as well. So say you can kick up, and kicking up's no problem, you're doing fine, but you can't press yet, just stack something up underneath your head, and you can work on handstand push-ups, at whatever level you're at. So you don't need to do the full range of motion. You can have whatever height you need to get however many reps you want. And then same as before, take away your books, take away your plates, you get lower and lower over time, you get stronger over time. So that is pretty much all you'll need to get started with kicking up to your handstands. But let me know if you have any other questions, and good luck with it. Stay safe, don't fall on your head, keep your elbows locked out, and be awesome.